Sri Sai Ram. Welcome to Sri Sathya Sai Loka Seva Gurukulam. Today we are going to continue with part 6 of History of Life on Earth. Last time we have seen, I have given some home assignment to you. Now, the first question asked was, explain Cambrian explosion. It happened 600 million years ago during Cambrian period, in which invertebrate and higher plant groups have diversified and evolved and so many organisms was present, right? Hence, to give felicitation to that period, to give credit to that period, it is known as Cambrian explosion. The second question asked was, which island Darwin visited during his voyages in HMS Beagle? During that voyage, he visited many places. Here it is asked only the island he visited, right? The islands he visited is Galapagos Island. So, the answer is Darwin visited Galapagos Island during his voyage on HMS Beagle. When a single word answer is also asked, you better to write the answer in this manner, then it will impress the teacher who is correcting it. Then the third question is, define the theory of evolution by natural selection. The answer for that, the organism with more survival value, that is the fittest organism, will pass on their genes to the next generation. And now we are coming to today's learning objective. We are going to study Darwin's theory of evolution and its salient feature, and we are going to see the natural selection, what it is, and then we are going to study Neo-Darwinism. First, we will start with Darwin's theory of evolution and its salient feature. Previously, we have studied that Darwin visited many places during his voyage and he observed many things, right? He observed the finches and various organisms which is present in very many different places. He visited the Brazilian rainforest and then he visited Galapagos Island and things like that, right? So, he had many observations. Then based on the observation, he got an idea, okay, these are all the things which happened. So, he came to an inference. Then after the inference, he made a conclusion. So, a scientific phenomena now also, it will go in these three stages. You have to make an observation, you have to come to an inference, then you will have to conclude that. What he observed many organisms are present and all the organisms are similar in nature. It is not exactly same, but some are the common property he could able to see. And then he concluded that the organism must have evolved rather than created. So, the organisms tend to accumulate more and more variations and modification from the ancestor and it have evolved continuously. So, based on that, he could make two different observations. These are the two salient features what Darwin's theory is telling. The first one is, all living beings are related through ancestry. Ancestry means we are also similar to our grandparents, or sometimes somebody will tell you are this much similar to your uncle, something they will tell, right? Like that, each and every organism is similar to its ancestry. Then the mechanism which causes this diversification of species is known as natural selection. So, nature will select which organism is better, because we will have so many different kind of modification, right? Each and every one will be individual and then you can able to see individual character in them. So, which character is best to fit in that environment only will survive. That is known as natural selection. We will move further. From that, Darwin made 4 important observations. The first observation is, all organisms tend to produce more offsprings than can possibly survive. So, you can able to see dog is also laying so many cubs, right? You can able to see so many tiny dogs are roaming around in the initial stages when the dog is giving birth. But eventually when you will see, you could able to see 1 or 2 puppies only surviving in that environment, right? So why it is so? Because there will be a struggle for survival. Maybe the organism, the cub may get some infection, or some other dog or other animal will feed on that dog, right? So it will get, it may be a easy prey. Dog cubs cannot, the puppies cannot walk or run faster, so the cubs are becoming an easy prey for the other animal. Sometimes the competition between the siblings is also one of the important feature, right? The stray dogs and all, who is going to feed? So that whatever it is getting, it has to feed and survive. So there will be a competition among their own siblings. So there will be a competition between the organism, there will be some infection, and that will become a prey for others. So it is having so much of struggle for survival. So each and every organism in the environment, it produces more offspring than the organism can able to survive. So even though more organisms are produced, the population number tend to remain same. Okay, if you have able to see 10 dog was there in your community before, now also you can able to see around 10 dogs. It may not fluctuate to 1 or it may not fluctuate into 100, right? So you can able to see if the dog is cleared by municipality, otherwise you can able to see all those things, cats or any other things, right? So the population number in any one environment tend to maintain constant. It is over a long period of time, if you will see also, the population number will tend to maintain, but human is only the exception where we can able to see human population is higher than any other, right now. The organism in a species shows a wide variation, that is the characteristic feature of the organism. So we can able to see wide variation. We can able to see in the dog also the fur color is different, the way how the dog behaves, all those things are different, right? So we can able to see a subtle differences which is present in the organism. Finally, some of the variation is inherited. It is not like all the dogs will give the offsprings later. So some of the variations only will get inherited. Some of the characters, whatever it got it, that will get inherited. Not all the character it can able to pass it to the next generation. These are the 4 important observations Darwin could have made. Then we are going to see what is natural selection. Always there will be a struggle for existence, right? Many organisms will have that struggle. So those who can able to survive only can able to pass the character. Those who could not able to survive, that will be getting eliminated from that environment, right? So the organism which survives will pass its character to the next generation. That is, the gene is getting transferred to the offsprings. The best adapted individual only will be selected by nature, and it will survive in that environment, it will reproduce and it will produce the offsprings. So the organism which is having the most survivable character will able to go to the next generation. All these things combined together, we know about survival of the fittest, right? That is the most common saying that you can you have heard it before. The survival of the fittest is given by Herbert Spencer, and he coined the term based on what Darwin have concluded. And Darwin called all this mechanism as natural selection. So what is natural selection here? The adapted individual which is selected by the nature, which can able to transfer its gene to the next generation. That is known as natural selection. Then we are going to see about Neo-Darwinism. What is Neo means? Neo means new, right? Darwin made many conclusions, many observations, but in his life, in his period, there is no scientific evidence to prove. There is no such mechanism which was there to prove all his sayings, and during that time you can able to understand that God created the world. That concept was very much, it was among the community. So whatever he could able to get a conclusion, it is he cannot able to prove it in another way. There is no facility which was available to prove it even though it is all correct. So later so many different scientists work on many principles and then they came to a new theory that is known as Neo-Darwinism. Neo means new. So what it is telling, Darwin knew the mechanism, but how it is inherited, how it is going to the next generation, he could not able to tell. But in his period, we can able to see one more scientist who is working, that is Mendel. Mendel, what he was doing so many research in the peace plant, and then he could able to get so many observations also. So the Mendel, what he was telling, the principle of genetics he developed, and then after that he coined a new book which is known as Origin of Species, right? Origin of Species is the book which is written by Darwin, and then based on all this incorporation, the Mendelian genetics and Darwinian theory together, it is known as Neo-Darwinism. So these two theory is very important when you are considering genetics and modern biology, because it gave the insight into each and everything what is happening in the organism, how the organisms evolved, what are the characteristic feature it changes from one generation to the next, how the species is getting adapted and how it survives, and natural selection and things like that. Okay, and then when the Neo-Darwinism theory is getting refinement means it is getting new approaches added and new findings will make it little more clearer, right? So this refinement in population genetics and the other areas of biology such as molecular biology and all, so many techniques are available to study how the gene is varying from one person to another, how the protein is varying from one person to another and all. So those technology are some of the refinements we can get it in the field of biology. So based on this refinement in genetics and also in the biology, which led to modern synthetic theory of evolution. So no longer we are following that the natural selection is, even though if it is there, we are considering that modern synthetic theory of evolution now, because we are incorporating not only the finding of Darwin, not only the finding of Mendel, whatever each and every scientist who is working in the lab, and then he is giving the evidence, he is proving that the gene is getting inherited, how the organism survives. Based on that, the modern theory, synthetic theory of evolution is coined. And it is to Darwin's credit, we have so many supports. Latest development in the field of molecular biology is supporting the Darwin's finding. Even though he could able to get any conclusion or inferences, all those things are now it is proved to be true. So whatever he could able to make it, some noble people, whatever they are telling now, it will become true. Like that, the Mendel and Darwin, whatever he could able to get in those days where he could not able to prove it, but now with the modern technology, we could able to prove that whatever sayings and the findings of those two people are finding to be true. Okay, with that we are coming to a conclusion, and we have home assignment today. The home assignment 6 is, what are the main points in Darwinian's theory of evolution? We have seen salient feature, right? Salient is the main and crucial or significant points. Okay, that is what are the main points of Darwinian's theory of evolution. The second question is, list out the 4 important observations of Darwin. The third is, in your own word, explain survival of the fittest. Whatever you are feeling like in your way, how you can how you can define the term survival of the fittest. The fourth question is, what is natural selection means? Okay, and the fifth one is, do the latest biological development supports Darwin's theory of evolution? Okay, it is an yes or no type of question. And then how? If you are telling yes, you have to tell how it proves. If you are telling no, how it disproves. Both you have to explain. So these are your home assignment, which is designed for this lecture, and then with this answer, I will meet you in your next class. Thank you students, and then hope you understand this video properly. if you wanted to have better clarification, go through your textbook, you will get more insight into it, and then you watch the video again, so you will get to know the details in very clear and in nutshell. Okay. Om Sri Sai Ram.